You know, if you take everything I've accomplished in my entire life and condense it down into one day, it looks decent.
Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to another episode of The Decent Show. We have a special episode in tune for you. We've got me, Ryan Money, as always, joined by Reagan, and new special guest, Jordan. Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are y'all?
Fantastic. We're glad to have you here. We're actually recording it at Jordan's studio. It's a lovely place, so thanks for having us here in your studio.
Thank you.
You got a show coming up here pretty soon. Do you want to plug and promote your new show coming up?
It's called The Malfunctioning Controller.
Mm-hmm.
It's a few weeks out yet. I'm still working on some of the bugs, trying to get everything set up, but the studio's coming together and it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it was looking good. We were messing with some of your equipment, and it was exciting. Kind of threw me back to my college days, so that was a lot of fun. And Reagan, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay.
Actually, I'm all right.
Just decent?
Yeah, just decent. Yeah, here on The Decent Show.
Got to keep it decent. So today we're going to be talking about something that we're upset about being on delay, and that delay could be from Corona or just in general, really just whatever, something that's been delayed that we're upset about. Does anybody want to go first?
You got it. You go first. You're the host. You go first.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I'm upset about the James Bond film getting delayed. I get that it had to because of Corona. I think they couldn't finish filming because they were doing it in different countries and stuff, and the outbreak was already pretty serious, and so they had to stop what they were doing, and its May release date got pushed back to November. So I was upset about that just because I'm really hyped about this movie. I love Daniel Craig as James Bond. I really like all of the movies. I think my biggest beef with the movies is that they're all too long, except for Quantum of Solace, which is, I guess, the worst movie, but it's the shortest. So to me, that's its redeeming quality because all the other ones are over 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Is it his last movie?
He wasn't supposed to do past Skyfall, and he did Spectre and now another one. So every movie for the last 2 or 3 movies has been his last one, so I got to assume this is the official last one. And the other thing that I'm upset about is the fact that this delay has happened. The movie was just about to come out in May, and it got pushed back to November, and I looked it up on IMDb. It's 2 hours and 43 minutes.
Jeez,
it's the longest one.
Is that confirmed, though? Is that for real?
Yeah.
See, I like a movie. If I'm going to watch something that I'm very interested in, I'd prefer it to be long.
No, but with James Bond, it's like, why does he need so much time? Because at the end of the day, the Daniel Craig saga to me has done a good job of kind of spicing it up and kind of getting away from normal James Bond tropes where it's stupid unrealistic and it's still unrealistic, but they just do it more tastefully, almost kind of like The Dark Knight did. If that makes any sense. Just kind of the way they did stuff made it feel a little bit more real, and not as corny. But it doesn't need to be that long, because at the end of the day it's him beating the bad guy, and there's always money, oil, terrorism, war, the same elements are normally involved. So it's nothing really has changed. It's just they've added a better story, which makes it longer, but to me it doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. Now 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I heard that he had made a comment that because the second James Bond that he was in was changed because of a writer's strike, that he wanted to make it one up. And then he enjoyed doing his most recent one, so then they made this one. But they had some story beats that they wanted to hit, but I'm not too sure what those are. He didn't specify, but he said he wanted to hit some more. So maybe he's trying to delve into that. Maybe more of the past of the character.
Maybe, because the fourth one really was supposed to bring everything together, and that made it seem like it was the last one. Because everything that had happened in the previous 3 was supposed to all come together with one ultimate villain in the fourth one, and it did that. But I never got to see the end of the movie because I saw it in theaters and the screen went out. And we had saw the movie for free, so we couldn't complain or get a refund because we didn't pay for the movie.
Are you okay with talking about spoilers?
How it ends?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I'm pretty sure I'm on the last 10 or 15 minutes, so I don't know how much you'd be spoiling for me. I was literally at the end, and it
What's the last part you saw?
I think he had already killed his brother / the evil bad guy, and they were in some car scene in a tunnel, and something was being exchanged, whether it be people or something was happening, and then the screen just went out. Oh. I think the climax...
There's a pretty big part that you're missing.
I know. It's the end of the movie.
Yeah, there's a pretty big part you're missing. So I won't say what I was going to say, but...
Because I still want to go back and watch it.
Let's just say that ending probably won't stick. because of this one.
Right, and I don't
So
doubt
they gotta
it.
change it to fit the ending.
No, they're not going to change it, but
It's going to be like
it
an
ends
X-Men
in a
where they
certain
undo it.
way that I was very surprised that we're going to leave. Anyone who's seen the movie will know James Bond's endings don't usually end up this way, and they'll probably make it so that it ends in a more traditional end for James Bond.
Right, because I mean, at the end of Casino Royale, he technically retired.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and the other reason why I'm hyped for this movie, and Reagan knows this, is because the main chick from Knives Out is going to be his Bond girl in this
Ana de
movie.
Armas.
Right.
And Ben Affleck.
She has the coronavirus.
Sweet.
So
Ben
that probably
Affleck's
also
girlfriend.
factors why it delayed.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Ben Affleck's what?
Girlfriend.
Really?
Really, I like her less now, but I do love her
I
as
like
an
her more
actress.
now.
Okay.
She's having sex
I,
with Batman.
I have
Former Batman.
I have nothing on her. I don't know. I like her the same.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, she's super attractive, super great at acting from what I've seen, and so I'm excited for her to be in that movie, and that's also why I was hyped for this movie, but it's on delay. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have on that. If somebody else would like to
Jordan, you want to go ahead? Tell us what you're.
upset about it.
My topic today will be The Last of Us 2 recently announced that it was going to be delayed again, but this time indefinitely.
How many times is that?
Two
Okay.
official delays.
What were the previous release dates
February, May.
of 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
It was never given a date until like November or early December of last year.
Okay.
So the Last of Us, the first one, came out at the end of the PlayStation cycle for PS3, and this one seemed to be following in its footsteps, and they may do that moving forward.
Do you think they're trying to wait for PS5?
Well, I don't think they're trying to wait for PS5, but now, not only am I disappointed by it, but now they have some real issues. First of all, they were going to market the hell out of this thing. It's the Last of Us game. It's considered one of the best games, not only of its generation, but of all time. There's a top 10 list. It's probably in that list. Was voted the most popular zombie game, and it'll be pretty hard to live up to. So the problem that they're kind of facing now is that they have to have a huge marketing push behind this, and I believe that's the reason for the delay. If you're going to invest what is probably going to be $100 million, $50 million into a marketing budget for this, you can't just flip the switch and turn it on. It needs to be very planned. And they weren't even done with it. It was delayed because they weren't done. Now that people are working from home, they really can't work on it. You can do stuff on your computer when it comes to programming, and I'm sure they have plenty of software, but it slows down communication.
You're saying the delay now is because they weren't done with it?
No, the delay is because of Corona, but it won't finish when it would have finished
Oh.
because of Corona. Because you don't have the workspace communication, and they were working long hours. You know, the stories coming out of the industry, I guess, was saying that, you know, some people were spending 12 hours a day there, some people were sleeping there to try and get this finished on time.
Yeah. The crunch.
The crunch. The crunch. So they're not going to be able to do that, even if people are working at home. And you have to have a big marketing push behind this. So now there's that problem. The other problem will be now PlayStation 5 will inevitably launch most likely holiday season, maybe Thanksgiving, maybe December now. Who knows? It depends on if they can get it out on time and if they even push it back or not. It depends on how bad coronavirus gets. You know, 2 days ago, the number was 1,000 people died in the United States. So and it hasn't even reached its peak yet. We could get to a point where it's 3,000 people dying a day. So most likely supply chains will be slowing down. And when supply chains slow down, then there'll be less of the product. So back to Last of Us, the real issue is going to be, will they just delay it indefinitely and then just make it a PS5 title?
No way.
Will they? What's the choice? I mean, most likely they won't, but could they? They could.
I don't think you
What
can do that.
What do you do? What do you do next? You know, that's kind of the issue, and it's not just a disappointment because I'm not going to get it on the day I wanted, but it's also a disappointment because it could really get pushed back with all these factors.
Right.
Are you
There's
saying
a
you
lot.
think it's going to only be for PS5?
No, I just think that
Okay.
now
Aren't
they're
you
going to
going to
have
get a PS5?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you just can't, like, the game was announced in 2016, and it's going to come out for PS5, like, and not for PS4. Like, I would be upset. I'm upset just thinking about that, knowing I'm going to get a PS5. Can you imagine how many people are going to be? I've spent $500 to
Play
this
the new game.
that was
Right.
basically said to be a PS4 game.
You're right. No, you're right.
Oh, they do make it a launch. Do they make it a? You know, you can get it for either. Is it going to be PS5 and PS4? Most people kind of assumed that, but it wasn't announced yet.
Right.
And this one doesn't have a multiplayer. Did they include the multiplayer now? Did they not include the multiplayer? Will there be a multiplayer?
Probably not. I don't know. I would say not if they're not even talking about it, but I guess they're kind of worried about finishing their game. The thing that's really disappointing about
No
this
co-op campaign either, right?
No, just a regular single player campaign.
Not. I haven't heard anything.
But the thing that's really disappointing is that there's not even a date for this one. Whereas James Bond is November. You know, we know
Right.
we have at least a date for it.
Right.
A little something to look forward to. There's nothing here. You know, it's just said indefinitely. It doesn't even say 2020, and we're barely in April. So how are we? You know, that's really bad.
The real issue is if you read their quote on why they're having trouble figuring out how they're going to do it, because this will be not only most likely a Game of the Year candidate, but it will also should be one of the highest selling games for the next 3 years, and you can't handle it lightly. The entire strategy has to change now. And that didn't happen before. If this had come out, what was the first date? March?
The first day was February. Late February.
If it had come out February, it wouldn't even be an issue. It would have been 8 months old at that point by the time the new systems come out. So it's nowhere near. It's almost a year old at that point. You know, you can make the PS5 version a launch title or not. You can do a huge marketing push. February is generally empty in terms of movies and any other media. Call of Duty.
Good movies.
Call of Duty is on the opposite end of the year. Call of Duty comes out every November, every year. So you don't need now. You have to worry about Call of Duty eating into your sales. This game could get bumped a whole year from its original release date.
That would suck.
They could just say, you know what, we'll make it for PS5 and PS4. We'll make sure that we change everything. We update the graphics. We polish everything we need to. We make sure it works for PS5. We keep it away from all the Call of Duty sales. And you have Last of Us coming out in 2021. And I think that's a real possibility. Based on all the facts, a full year from its original release date doesn't seem that out of the question.
Okay.
Or further.
And would that be better than...
Will the product be better? Maybe. And if that's the case, then okay.
What would you
But-
prefer?
Well, to answer the question, this is why I'm so disappointed, because now it's kind of a nightmare for us and for them. Would I prefer it? I don't know. Just make it good.
So would you wait longer for it if it was going to be quote unquote better?
Well, yes, but it will be marginally better as opposed to would they add more stuff?
If they come out with it in like November or something, is there a scenario in which you wouldn't buy it day one? Because in November and stuff, everyone's buying games. You got to buy Christmas gifts for stuff. Like you're spending money a lot of money in November and December. Would you not buy it because you're spending all that extra money, as opposed to right now when we're literally not spending money on anything because we can't.
Well, you should look at my studio and then see what money I have. But
Most people.
for most people, that's true. And I am a hardcore fan of Last of Us.
So
I
no
had a
way.
day one, the last one. I'll have this one day one, no matter when it comes
No
out.
matter what.
I'm a big proponent of I support the things I like with the dollar. So I buy most of the things I'm a fan of, whether it's Dragon Ball Z or Star Wars or comic book movies or whatever. I buy them day one because I want to vote with my dollar. But do I think that it could improve because of this? Yes. And will I prefer that? Also yes, but I'm still disappointed.
But I think you said off air, there's no chance this game's better than the first one.
I have a video lined up on my channel
That's right.
that we're going to be talking about this, but it's not that I'll think it's worse, or maybe I will, but to live up to the hype, it's going to be difficult, and we're going to talk about that in the video, but it's going to be very difficult there's numerous games out there that have had this kind of hype. They're rare and far and in between, so if you were to take Last of Us out, I would think that the next game that has to live up to its own intense hype would be Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best-selling media item ever. Like, there's nowhere close. Everyone thinks it's pretty good. I don't know anyone who thinks it's the best game of all time.
Right.
But even just the hype for the sales, can it live up to that? Probably not. Can it live up to the quality of the last one? Maybe. But it's hard to live up to that hype, and even if this one will be even if this Last of Us is as good as the last one, it probably still won't be graded fairly because of the hype behind it.
Right.
Another thing with the Grand Theft Auto thing where it'll never live up to the sales, it's guaranteed not to. Because remember, they sold it to us twice. And did we all buy it twice here? I know I bought it twice. PS3, PS4. You bought
What,
it?
Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Years
So-
later on the sale, but I have it.
So yeah, we all bought it twice.
It's still
That won't
selling for
happen.
like $15 to $20 right now.
I know, that's insane.
I always expect it to be 10 or less or cheaper at some point. No.
Never. It'll never.
But that's
go
because
down.
they keep adding stuff to it.
Yeah.
Like if you buy it now, dude, there's so much added content that I've probably never even touched.
I think an easy way for that one to live up to its own hype is if they come out with story DLC. The online was such a mess. I don't know if y'all remember when it first came out. The story was the online was such a mess, and it was so delayed.
It was an extra year.
Yeah,
A year
they just
after.
kept delaying the online because they could not get it right. That they just never came out with any story DLC. There was one planned, at least one planned. A couple of, I believe Kotaku wrote a story about that, but there was one planned. They never came out with it. They may just use that story thread and use it in the next one. But if they were to be smart, they would come out with DLC for that.
I wish I would have done a zombie one like Undead Nightmare. Honestly.
What, Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, I really wish I would have done that, but they'll. No.
Zombie, superhero. These are easy things you can add to Grand Theft Auto, and it would make it infinitely. Just because it's a full, living,
Full
breathing
world,
world.
yeah. Well, the other thing too is, I mean, most of their DLC was for online,
Yeah.
and I didn't even understand how most of it worked, like how
Yeah,
you even accessed
The
it.
DLC they
It's confusing.
decided to use was a casino. They added a casino where you could spend real world money to have fake money in the game that you gambled and you didn't get any real money from.
Right.
Absurd.
And they always
Absurd and ridiculous,
Yeah.
and they made millions and millions and millions off of it.
That's insane. They got away with that. I'm gonna go with my thing. Is I got a lot of things I'm pretty upset by not having, but I'm gonna go with
I'm proud of that transition.
NBA.
Okay.
NBA for
okay.
sure.
Can
yeah.
we get a speed round of the other stuff though?
speed round of the other stuff?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Black Widow.
All got delayed.
All got delayed. Black Widow is November now, so that's all the way at the end of the year now.
They're possibly putting it on Disney Plus.
I don't think that's true. They said today it was going to be November though. That's
Well, it is
day and
being
date?
talked about.
Day and
No,
date?
no. Just in general, that it will be on Disney Plus maybe soon
Really?
to keep up with their schedule.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe. They put out that date, but they said it's not out of the realm of possibility.
See, that would be sick just in terms of, like, I guess money and time. But I also like seeing movies in theaters, so I would kind of be disappointed in that. But yeah, I was saying I'm gonna see that movie. The last trailer looked really good, actually. Wonder Woman looked really good. Not gonna get to see that. I'm gonna go with James Bond as well. Not gonna get to see that. Or I guess at the end of the year we'll see if it'll actually come out. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about. It hasn't been officially delayed yet, but it's right in that window. Tenet, the Christopher Nolan movie.
Supposed to come out this summer, right?
Yeah, this summer. So all the summer stuff's fleeing right now. I think it's the last line of defense before the summer's gone, basically,
Ooh,
because
boom.
everything's
Before we move too far past James Bond,
gone to October. Go ahead.
rate the Bond girl. Where does she rate all time?
Of all the Bond girls,
All the Bond
Which
girls.
one? The new one?
The one from the previous one.
and just in terms of
Inspector?
just in terms
Yeah.
of attractiveness.
Attractive.
Because she was the oldest.
Is she the oldest?
She's the oldest Bond girl they've ever had.
How old is she?
41.
She's 40?
She was in her. Yeah, you're talking about the one that
The
gets-
blonde one in the most recent James Bond.
Oh, okay. Well, he doesn't bang her.
Okay.
That doesn't count as a Bond girl. He has to bang her.
No.
Yes.
Is she
yes.
in the movie? She's a Bond girl.
If she's not,
Did they kiss?
is there penetration?
I don't. I'm not sure. I don't.
So, from what
I'm
my
not sure
under-
how
my
to respond.
my understanding of the Bond girl stuff is he has to be inside them for it to count.
Really?
Yes.
Are you being serious?
Dead.
This is the Spectre girl.
Yes.
I never.
I'm gonna
saw-
pull up because I've seen the fun facts on Spectre, and it even said that like whoever he like sleeps with that eventually dies, She was the oldest Bond girl ever.
I regret this question.
You regret this
I regret
question?
asking this question.
Why?
How would you rank him?
Why do you regret asking the question? It was a great question.
Halle Berry's probably number one for most people.
No.
You don't
Not
think so?
I forgot that she was a Bond girl,
Not in this
honestly.
room.
Not in this room?
Not
Yeah.
the one I know.
Does he even sleep with her?
Yes, they eat fruit in bed.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Close
yeah.
enough.
She
With
brings
the-
a knife in bed, and then she's like, oh, they like.
She's
like
in the worst
tease it.
one, isn't she? She's in the worst one. She's in the one where he like it's a
Diamond Face.
CGI car.
Don't forget about Diamond Face.
Diamond Face. Oh god.
Diamond Face. No, that's not the worst one.
Who's the worst Bond girl?
Any of the ones
Halle
from
Berry.
the 60s?
No, dude, they were hot back then.
Back then, now.
Right.
You don't account for the. This isn't like a Jordan versus.
No, this
LeBron
isn't a
argument.
sliding scale. This is they show up at my front door and
Oh,
line
okay.
them up.
Okay.
I like her the best.
You like,
me.
You like Halle Berry?
I'm
The
hoping-
newest one the
I
best.
cannot say her name.
Halle Berry.
Wait, the blonde girl, you like her the best?
Yeah.
Why?
She just
Does it for you?
She's just nice. Damn, this is really tough because I also haven't seen Spectre, so I'm gonna go with the Casino Royale one just because I cannot think of another one.
Oh,
Eva
Eva
Green?
Green. Eva Green, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah,
I'll
she's
stick
good.
with it because I cannot think of another one.
Eva Green is good. Halle Berry was good.
There's a couple of good ones in Quantum too, but
Quantum
I can't.
of Solace was good.
That's some
Man,
good.
I hated that movie.
The
Actually.
redhead?
Oh man,
Or the supermodel that decided to be an actress for
one movie.
3 years.
Is that her only movie?
No, she's got a few, but
No.
that's the biggest
She's in
one.
Gal Gadot. Anyway, looking forward to all that stuff. The thing I'm actually the most
Don't
upset
you
by.
talk bad about Wonder Woman.
Anyway, the thing I'm most, I guess, disappointed in not having is potentially the rest of the NBA season
She's an icon.
Right.
because it's delayed and it's looking like it's probably not going to happen honestly because the season starts in October. They have to do summer league. They have to do the draft. You know, you got to get people a rest before they start the whole new 82 game schedule.
LeBron's got to lose his finals, and 10 people have to make up excuses for him.
That's actually a good point as to, in a way, that's a good point, I should say, as to why I'm disappointed is because there's a lot of storylines we're not going to see. Is LeBron going to be able to win with this team? Are they going to be able to, I guess, win for Kobe, which I don't really associate with, but I guess it would be nice. Is Giannis going to be able to get his ring? Is he going to finally get over that hill? Is he going to win the MVP again? He probably should.
I got an update saying that he hasn't even been able to play basketball.
Yeah, he quote doesn't have access to a hoop. He's got $100+ million contract, and he can't go to Walmart like the rest of us and buy a hoop.
Right.
How
He
is
says he's been cooking, cleaning, and working out, but he hasn't played basketball.
How? How is that possible?
That pretty much describes his basketball skills. He's really strong. He's really athletic. He never shoots.
But seriously though, he can't just pay someone to have
Right.
put a paved like hoop in his driveway. That's only like a
Right.
2-man job. They can probably get someone to
Well,
do that.
Giannis lives in an apartment.
That's what I
Is he
think.
really?
Yeah, it's a really nice one, but I'm from Milwaukee, so my friend Robert, I think you know him.
Yeah,
He-
he's my friend. Yeah, not your friend.
He lives down the street from him, and there's like $100,000, $300,000 apartments.
Oh, see, I didn't know he lived there. I just thought that they.
Yeah,
ran
they
into
share.
each
They
other.
go to the same. They go to the exact same grocery store.
Yeah,
Back to your Bond girl, real quick. Monica Bellucci or whatever,
Decent.
Inspector, became the oldest Bond girl at the age of 50.
Let me see.
age of 50. Jeez,
And he like sleeps with her in the movie.
what movie is this?
Spectre,
Spectre.
the fourth
Wow.
one of the Daniel Craigs.
Oh yeah, I remember her. Yeah, well, sadly, she's the worst.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So anyway, to me, but to the NBA point, real quick too. I think we talked about it on a previous episode. Like if they do come back and have the playoffs, I've seen a couple of different things to where somebody said there's no way they would go straight into the playoffs. Another thing said that Adam Silver is playing with the idea of doing 3-game series for the playoffs.
That'd be
Okay.
awful.
And then, to me,
I
another
would
thing
hate
is
that, actually. Yeah.
One bad shooting night happens in almost like it happens twice a playoffs for superstars.
happens to the Rockets
And
every
that
other
would-
game.
That would lose you a series.
Yep, it would.
That would lose you a series if you had 2 bad games.
And it would really make whoever has the better record like have a significant advantage over the other team because they have twice as many home games per series. That's insane.
Right.
I would think that LeBron would be at a big advantage. His game 1 performances are usually really great.
And he doesn't. And most of his game is built around not shooting a lot. So if he really did, if he took away his shot, like he wasn't shooting good that night, he could still work the paint.
He is it's the middle games that he's always been average at, and then the game 7s and 6s and game 1s are usually his big games.
Right. And then they've also said, like one guy made the point, hey, everybody's rested. So everybody's going to come out energized, ready to play. But then to me, there's also the point where you have guys like Giannis who aren't playing basketball. Like you're going to have certain guys to me that are probably working out harder and practicing harder during this quarantine. And then other guys who are like, dicking around or like playing with their family or like just not as focused on like working out in basketball
Is that fair though?
What I'm saying is, to me, it's going to play a big factor, and it can maybe change things, and you might have some upsets or like things like that might be a factor. I thought Bill Simmons made a good point about how, what if it takes so long that Kyrie and KD are healthy, like for these playoffs?
Yeah. That was good. Where he was talking about.
Right, you had talked about that.
Bill Simmons was talking about that if you were to be gambling on the NBA championship today, that if they were to start the season, and the Nets are having a good season, the Nets are in the playoffs today if they started today.
Right.
You add Katie and you add a healthy Kyrie Irving. The odds right now are like 2,000 or 1,000 to 1 if you were to start today. So if you were to put money down today, you could spend $1 and make 1,000 on them. It's the best bet in sports if the season starts. But at the time, Kevin Durant has Corona. At
Right.
the time,
Yeah.
he did not have coronavirus.
Right.
Now he does, so it's probably out.
Probably, yeah. But see, another solution I've actually heard to it is that they play all the games in Vegas and
Yeah.
they all stay in the hotel.
Yeah. I've seen
LeBron
that.
refuses to do that apparently
Why?
because he's
He's
a
LeBron.
drama
Be as
queen.
nice about it as possible, Jordan.
Because he has to say something about anything,
Well, and plus, I mean,
which
I
is
feel-
good and bad.
I feel like at the end of the day, too, I mean, it's not up to him because it's not like he's going to refuse to play if they end up playing. Because he even said that, too, whenever they were like, yeah, we're going to have fanless games. He goes, oh, I would not play a game without fans. That's just not how I am. And then, like, a week later when they were like, no, LeBron, we do have to play games without fans. It's probably going to happen. He goes, okay, yeah, I guess, we got to do what we got to do. And then, sure enough, they shut down games altogether, so it didn't matter.
But there's your first LeBron excuse if he loses in the finals. He wasn't in it mentally. He did not want to be there. That's your first one.
That's why I'm upset that the season it's not looking good for the season, is because he's been hyped up all year. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see him take this team and win a championship with it or not. Or beat Giannis. Or Giannis beats him. I'm ready to see that. Or the Rockets hopefully make a run like the Dallas Mavericks of 2011.
The Sixers were injured. Giannis was injured. The Clippers have been struggling with injuries all year. The Lakers have been relatively healthy. I just want to ask a quick question here. Who does the shortened season or the break of the season, if it were to continue, who does it help the most in y'all's mind? Kawhi's got a problem that he's just never going to get over with his knees. They were all injured. The Sixers
I thought it was
were
his
injured.
hip. It's his knees.
His knees.
Okay, so I feel like the Clippers benefit. I feel like the Rockets could benefit. I mean, Eric Gordon's been banged up all year. I feel like
Rockets, right.
the Rockets could benefit. The Nets could benefit. We already talked about that.
Who benefits the most?
Who benefits the most? The Clippers.
It's got to be, yeah.
The Clippers, yeah.
Because they've been doing the most load managing. So I feel like, it's got to be them. But it helps the Rockets, too, because Westbrook and Gordon have been banged up. So to have both those guys, not be banged up would be amazing for us. And then...
The small ball was killing the Rockets. They were getting beat up out there, and their pace was slowing because of the way they're playing. Can they make it through a whole playoffs this way?
Maybe not.
And I feel like Westbrook and Harden are the guys that are definitely not taking any days off right now, especially Westbrook. It's
been the hardest
I would also
Assume they've been practicing.
You assume they've been working as hard as humanly possible this entire time.
Everyone else essentially just stands outside the three-point line waiting for them to pass.
So since we're talking about basketball, I hate to cut you off, Reagan, but to me this question, I hope it's too good not to ask you guys. So I told you about that bracket of King of the Hill, one-on-one, one possession for each player
Right.
determines who wins the game.
Lay it on.
In this bracket, because one of these guys in my group is super pissed, apparently... whenever he complains about something, our boss tries to send the photo of why the decision was what it was. He goes, oh, well, this guy actually has better points, rebounds, assists, or whatever in every matchup they've had, this and that. This is why this guy beats that guy. So he tries to explain how the decision was made. So...
Do you want to explain to those who don't know what you got in your hand there real quick? Is it a group chat?
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
group chat?
work group chat, yeah. And so the bracket was the bracket was Kyrie versus Anthony Davis, and Kyrie won. Kyrie beat Anthony Davis in a one-on-one game, one possession each, and the very next matchup he lost to LeBron. And so my coworker said, "Wait, so Kyrie can beat the person who leads the Lakers in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks, but not his teammate. I'm not going to comment on the rest." And the reason why he said that is because every time he's had a complaint, our boss is like, "Well, the stats are this and that." So he's like, "Well, what the hell?" So what do you guys think? Can Kyrie
that's
beat AD?
No.
Should AD have won that game?
Yes.
The best, in my opinion, the best players ever are the big men of the league. You can't. There's no one who can defend them one-on-one. If you've seen any of the Anthony Davis playing at the park, Anthony Davis could easily take Kyrie Irving. Not only could he just back him down, but if Google the video if you can, or YouTube the video if you can find it, he crosses this guy nearly to the floor, in the process throwing the ball off the glass, and then dunks it on him.
Right.
And now this is just a slightly above average player, but he could do that to not maybe as easily, but he would just own. He just doesn't dribble that much, but he can, and he obviously can play back to the basket, and he's got
A shot.
50 pounds on Kyrie Irving, 60 pounds,
things that would benefit
And almost how much height? Like 6 inches?
7 inches.
7,
Things
yeah.
that would benefit Kyrie is his stamina, which is not a factor or is not going to be much of a factor in a one-on-one. I'm assuming half-court game.
One possession.
One possession. So yeah, it's going to be a half-court game. Not going to be a factor. Kyrie's faster, but again, you're in a half-court set. You're only guarding one guy. It's going to be really hard to torch Anthony Davis hard enough, I guess, to drive to the hoop and to be able to create enough separation to avoid the block of his probably 7 or 8 inches more wingspan he has, if not more. So yeah, that's absurd. I don't think he'd beat LeBron either, but I don't think he'd make it past Anthony Davis in the first place.
Right, and that's what my coworker is saying. He's like, make it make sense. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
he can
add
beat
this up
Anthony
to-
Davis, but he can't beat LeBron. So it's like he probably should have never beat Anthony Davis to begin with. That's kind of what he's complaining about.
That's another thing is a lot of people are saying LeBron should win the MVP this season, but Anthony Davis is on his team and is ahead of LeBron in all those statistical categories.
That's
Right.
Steve Nash math.
Well, I was going to say I argued with the same coworker about that. I mean, not that I really cared,
Yeah.
but he was like, "Dude, Anthony Davis this, Anthony Davis that," and I was like, "Well, who's giving Anthony Davis the ball? Do you think it's the guy that leads the league in assists that's on his team?" And he goes, "What?" And like we went back and forth on that because he's like, "Still, he's doing this and that," and I was like, "Yeah, but I mean, isn't everybody paying attention to LeBron?" And like, he's a good passer. He's never not been a good passer.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, Anthony Davis has always been a great player, but it's also, to me, easy for him to have the best stats ever if he's playing with arguably one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, to me it was kind of a wash. And in the Final Four of this one-on-one tournament is Harden, KD, Bron, and Greek Freak.
Who wins that?
Harden shouldn't even be in the Final Four, to me.
Freak.
To me, Harden would have gotten stopped by somebody or missed a shot at some point and not defended. So
One
to me,
possession, though?
one possession.
Harden's pretty good for one possession. He'll tie your legs in a knot
I guess.
and then get an open
Of course,
shot.
he also had a somewhat easy bracket. He went against, he beat Dirk. He beat Prime Dirk. So does he beat Prime Dirk?
He's not the best player out of these guys, but to play against the best one-on-one players in the game, he gets one possession and Dirk gets one possession.
I'll
I
take
mean,
Dirk.
odds are Dirk is on the floor
Right.
against
Because his
a lot of
defense
these
is-
best one-on-one players. So he gets an open shot, and Dirk will get a poorly contested shot.
Right.
Yeah,
I would
very
probably
poorly.
take Harden in that.
It's close.
It's
It's tough.
but it's a contested shot against an open shot, and I'll take an open shot.
And that was his toughest matchup. Other than that, he had a breeze. He had to go against Prime Mike Conley, Prime Devin Booker, and Prime Joel Embiid.
Steve Nash used to play one-on-one games against Dirk Nowitzki in practice, from what ESPN used to talk about, and they used to beat each other. And I would take Harden over Nash in terms of one-on-one skills.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
right.
Okay. All right.
So
There's an argument there. So what we got? Harden, LeBron, Greek Freak, and who's the fourth?
KD.
KD.
And KD's
Prime. All
Prime.
Prime.
Yeah. So KD's going against Harden, and LeBron's going against the Greek Freak for the Final Four, and then they'll have the Final Two.
I'm gonna go KD on that one. 1-on-1.
I'd take KD against all All the best
Yeah.
players.
Everybody
in
think-
one-on-one.
Okay,
everybody-
wow, we're all in agreement. There.
Everybody, well, pretty much everybody in the group chat's like, if KD doesn't win, this thing's ridiculous.
He's
LeBron,
7 feet tall with guard skills, and
He-
LeBron has trouble with. He's really only had trouble with 3 players in his whole career: Kobe, Greek Freak,
And KD.
Durant. That's it. That's all really he's had trouble going against. Seems like Greek Freak swats his shot every time he plays. Kobe's blocked his shot in the All-Star game numerous times. I've never really seen Durant block his shot, but I've seen him just own him in the finals
Yeah.
1-on-1. So it's hard for him to pick LeBron. He's not a 1-on-1 player. He's a 5-on-5 player,
Of course.
and Tayshaun Prince, who is one of the best players in NBA history, was doing an interview.
Whoa,
Maybe 2
hang
years
on, let's
ago?
back that up. Tayshaun Prince is one of the best.
One of the best one-on-one defenders.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you said
Ever.
you said one of the best players in NBA history.
Oh, I mean defenders.
Okay.
Pardon.
Yeah,
One
yes.
of the best defenders, and he
Hot
was
take.
talking about, in this interview, he was talking about guarding the differences between guarding Kobe and LeBron. And he was talking about Kobe's one-on-one skills. Kobe could just get to whatever spot he wanted to, and if he would just annihilate you if he got into a rhythm. Whereas he's talking about LeBron, who's very tough once he gets you on his hip, but he's not very good at getting you on his hip off the dribble. He'll send you through 100 screens, which is why he's so good in a team. You'll go through 150 screens over the course of a full game. So I'm not taking LeBron in a one-on-one game. If he can't really get these guys on his hip anyway because he's used to using screens, I'm not going to take him in a one-on-one game against these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to leave one question out there. When does the NBA have to start to have a season this year?
So I've seen updates to where they're willing to start playing games again as late as July, August, September.
I say the end of June.
End
I
of
think
June.
July is ridiculous.
And is that because they have to finish the season in your mind?
Well, so there's
Is
two.
finishing the season the right thing to do?
Yes.
No,
Why?
because
Wait,
you're
when
gonna
you say
leave-
finishing the season, are you talking about deciding who the champion is or finishing the regular season?
I'm talking about finishing the regular season.
Oh, finishing the regular season? No, I don't care about that. I'm talking about deciding a champion.
Deciding a champion.
I think either.
You think both
So
are
you're
now?
So the NBA season is already considered too long, and so there's 2 frames of thought. So what are you gonna do? Are
Wait, so you
gonna
want it to be null and void altogether?
just be done with it and start next season in October like usual?
You don't feel. I guess I picked it for my most annoyed by thing with the quarantine delaying. You don't feel it anyway. You're not sad to not see the season.
I'm sad, but so you're gonna. So my frame of thought is there's 2 ways you can go. You either you finish the season and you go right into the next season with no summer break. This would technically be their summer break,
Right.
quote unquote replacement, or you move the season back. And I believe that because of TV contracts and just because of how they would probably want to. Adam Silver has talked about moving the schedule to a later date, maybe starting at Christmas, but they haven't decided on that. There hasn't been an owner's vote. There hasn't been anything. So to this point, they would have to start the season at the usual time that they've always done. So you're going to tell me an NBA season that's already considered too long, in which people get injured already. You're going to take that, you're going to make it longer by having the playoffs go directly into the preseason and regular season. And then you're going to go into, so you would go from, they said July it would start. So you're going to go from July until June of next year straight.
So
That's a
you're-
better option.
So you're saying, I guess in your mind, then you're saying, all right, let's do June, July, finish in August, then you get all of September and some of October.
So you get a month and a half of a break for these guys.
Okay, well, how long have they already been on break, though?
A month and a half.
No,
Okay.
no.
How long?
We haven't
3
had
weeks.
we haven't had
Okay, so even shorter than I thought.
we haven't had a game since before March 14th.
So a month.
Yeah.
I thought it was-
Okay, so about a month. If they didn't start again until June, that's April and May, so they'd have 3 months total, which is basically the summer.
It's not the break though. It's the consecutive
Well, I get
round
it.
the clock basketball that'd be an issue.
These guys play basketball all the time anyway.
But it's not. You get some teams who are going to be either not in the playoffs or eliminated early, getting a huge break.
Well, I think
'Cause
that's
like
the
a
reason.
That's like a training camp of playing basketball,
playoffs?
and then they're out. Yeah, And
I
then
mean,
they
I
have
think
this
that's
whole
why
break.
they talked about doing 3-game series. That way they could get the season over with and give the guys the longest break possible so they could have a regular 2020-2021 season like you're talking about. Because it is kind of ridiculous to play basketball from July all the way through June again. No, because that is a good point.
It's a 300-day
You don't
season.
want that because y'all don't want that because of injury. Is that what I'm getting?
Well, it wouldn't work. I mean, load management.
And you need a break.
You need a break.
Like,
Because load
we need a
management.
break as just people who watch basketball need a break. Right?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But the players do because load managing to me is already kind of bad right now, and I don't like guys playing hurt. They shouldn't play hurt if they are. So there would be even more load managing if they played literally a whole year. So I get that, but to me they have to decide the champion of this season. I just because what was the point of playing those 60 games if we're not going to decide who is the champion of it?
Oh, the corporate answer is you're fulfilling your contracts, and there's money to be made.
Right.
Those players are getting paid for the year they help.
But you're
earn
telling
the
me
money.
these playoffs wouldn't be well viewed? I mean, people haven't watched sports for months, and if we just go straight to the NBA playoffs, you're telling me ratings wouldn't be through the roof?
It's not. But it's not.
I mean,
just
they
about
moved up the
these,
Michael Jordan
like,
documentary just to have something to watch.
Is it a better product now to hurt the product later, or do you make the players?
I don't think the product
help?
changes. These are professional basketball players that never stop playing basketball.
LeBron said himself he thinks that they would need regular season games, just to get into the rhythm.
Give them a week.
I mean, these are just questions. I don't know what the right answer is.
I don't know the right answer either. All I know
was
is
just curious.
all I know is I want this the end of the season to happen in some regard. I want there to be a champion.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm more concerned
Because so
about the
much
long term.
changes in the NBA offseason. So I mean,
You know, oh yeah, we got to fit all that in NBA offseason trades,
The-
and
the-
free
one of the-
agents, and drafts, and summer league.
I mean, the NBA offseason's one of the biggest off seasons of all sports because the NBA has the most progressive rules. Guys are changing teams all the time.
I don't think I answered this earlier, but I agree with the Clippers answer, but the Clippers get helped and hurt the most by it. So let's say the season gets canceled. You were supposed to have 2 years because Kawhi and Paul George have 2 years on there
Yeah.
this year, next year, and then you can extend them if necessary. But so instead of getting 2 shots at a title run,
Now they get one.
now you get 1, and that'll change a lot.
Oh yeah.
If the team doesn't work out this year and next year,
And the Lakers are hurt
and right
because Anthony Davis.
and LeBron's a year older, so you get 1 year taking a shot at a title instead of 2. And I'm pretty sure Paul George and Kawhi Leonard will look long and hard at how they feel about the team at that point. None of them can get the Supermax, so it doesn't matter. It's too late for that already.
Both of them aren't eligible.
Both of them are ineligible at this point
Why?
because it's the length of their deals. So George can't get it because of some trade.
Well, because
deal.
of the OKC deal he took.
OKC deal, right? He already had a big deal, and I don't even think you have to make a certain number of either win awards or a certain number of NBA teams, and there's a number of different things that he already doesn't qualify because he's not going to be in the top. I don't think he'll be in the top
15.
15 NBA, so he'll be out for this year, and I would suggest it'd be next year, and then who knows what Kawhi will do.
Right. I mean, ideally Kawhi's staying because, I mean, he did all of this garbage to get out of San Antonio to get to LA. Now he's there. I mean, you really think he would leave?
And they traded their entire draft
Future.
next 5 years to get them.
Right.
Right.
So ideally they're staying because they're both LA boys.
Ideally.
Ideally. But
Ideally, they'd have 2 rings in their back pocket, and they'd get all the money.
True. That's a good point.
well, I mean, this was your point, the NBA. What did you want to happen?
I mean, what do I want to happen? I mean, I definitely want a season just because I'm really bored, to be honest with you. There's nothing on TV. I mean, we're canceling subscriptions and not, like, paying it. ESPN, I forget it's even a channel some days.
You know what's-
I
nothing to
canceled
watch.
all my subscriptions.
Yeah,
except for the Netflix.
Yeah, just because you can't. Well, because he uses his subscriptions to, like, cable.
I only
things.
have Hulu to watch Hulu Live to watch sports. ESPN is non-existent, so ESPN Plus and Disney Plus was a part of that, and they haven't been adding new content except for what they already have, and anything Disney I already have.
So what's the point?
So what's the point of me having it? So I'm saving $70 a month.
So yeah,
That's cool.
I'm really disappointed in that aspect, and I want there to be a season for a lot of reasons. One, just because it'd be entertaining, but two, it'd be like, okay, now things can start coming out again. It'd be a good sign for Last of Us. It'd be a good sign for Bond. Like, we're actually going to get those things this year. It'd be a great sign for having an NFL season, which I really want to happen. Because there's a lot of interesting storylines there that I want to see played out. But
Of course.
I mean, like there is every year with every sport. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want there to cancel the season for those reasons. But if they cancel it, I wouldn't be absolutely devastated by it.
So-
It would just be really annoying on my part because I feel like we need to see the end of it.
Yeah, no, I do too. And it sounds like we agree that baseball being delayed is what we care the least about.
Oh yeah,
We are in Houston, so it's gonna just no matter what baseball season happens or when it happens, there'll be a lot of Astros dumping on, and
all the
I don't really
Astros
care about
crap,
to watch it. I don't really want to watch it anyway, but I don't really want to hear about it either. So
just dumping on their
even if it wasn't a team that in the city I live in, but anyway,
all right,
I think
man.
that's the show.
Yep, it's been a great show. Jordan, thanks for joining us and having us in your studio. Reagan, you were fantastic as always. And I'm Ryan. We'll see you guys next time.